No, I definitely think like religion can be like as a way for people to stay hopeful, like to, you know, and hold on to that kind of sense of like hope. And obviously, if you need it and it's helping, like keep going, like keep doing it. But it's just like such a shame when people use it actually like to shame. Like, you know, it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, and like shame and blame and be like, this is the rules, you're not abiding. And whereas like life should be free. Like you should be free in
100%.
all aspects. Like it is your choice, like through and
Exactly.
through. Yeah.
And it is spiritual abuse. So I think that's,
Wow.
I
Never
think
heard that. Yeah.
it's a thing. And actually in Scotland, there's dialogue within the Church of Scotland to fund more initiatives dealing with spiritual abuse, because especially if someone's in a really vulnerable state, like a child, or someone who's maybe, you know, got mental health issues of other people, like it is important to acknowledge, you know, even though
Yeah.
religion can, or spirituality can be a good thing and can, exactly as you said, can be a source of hope, you know, we've got to be really careful like when
Yeah.
you introduce that into someone's lives, because I in my opinion, I don't think you should do that if someone's maybe in recovery from a drug addiction or something. I don't think that that's
Yeah.
necessarily
You're
the right
replacing
time.
one crutch with another.
Yeah, exactly. And they're not, and it's just not fair.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I get that. Like that's like the whole like jailhouse Jesus and stuff. Have you heard of that? That's like yeah, it's like just because you like found God in jail when you had nothing else to do and the only book you're allowed to read in jail is the Bible, like doesn't mean I'm gonna forgive you. Like, do you know what I mean? So like yeah, it's just like really interesting. But if it gives you hope and it kind of like again, I'm reading this book and also I read this other book, Man Seeking Meaning, and it's like if it gives you purpose and it gives you that kind of like aspect to like keep moving on and keep living and kind of like gives you purpose, then that's good. But if you're using it to control and manipulate and to like suit other people to your values and how you view the world, then that's not okay. That's just spiritual abuse. Yeah, but I've never heard that. I really like that. I'm gonna use it all the time. You're spiritually abusing me.
Yeah, I feel spiritually abused.
I think there's obviously take on to your point there about Man Search for Meaning. I also read the same book recently.
It's a great book.
And I was having maybe not a challenge, but I'd come to a point in my life where I am, I guess now, a couple months later, where I'd realized that my life is not all about the purpose that I'd initially set myself to. I set myself goals and objectives, following a sort of ecosystem and a construct that I'd read about called Ikigai.
Yeah,
it was basically the Japanese reason for living, or their concept around reason for living and your purpose. And I was following that concept, and I kind of met my Ikigai, you know, my passion, my work, my survival, and also my desire to help others. I'd kind of started to achieve those four things, but something was still missing. And you know, I read that book, and I found that the way that people go through life may be slightly different in terms of where you're born, who you're born to, the parents you're born to, the country, the state, the education provided, the people you meet at the right place at the right time, the opportunities that are presented to you based on your upbringing, what you look like, who you are, where you come from, can all be different. But along the way, you can all go through similar circumstances, maybe at different times in your life, but you all go through something similar, and we're all searching for meaning. And I discovered that I was actually still searching for meaning, even though I'd gone through this methodology of figuring out that I had a purpose, but something was still missing. And there's this other book that I'm reading recently by Jordan Peterson called The 12 Rules for Life. And he put it really, really well, I think, which is that freedom is one thing that we strive to. And when we have freedom, doesn't mean that our strive is over. And there's this other kind of almost balancing part of freedom, which is responsibility. It's realizing that you may be free to choose all these things that you do, but on the other hand, you're responsible for the choices that you make. Hello. Thanks for grabbing my hand. So I think applying that to my own life, I realized that not only am I responsible for my own choices, and I'm free to make my own choices, and I'm very, very lucky by the opportunities that have been presented to myself by my circumstances, my upbringing, whatever you want to call it. But I'm also responsible for the choices I make going forward. And that kind of, it can also be scary, but it can be really empowering. And I think if people realize that you are free to choose to, like obviously you said, the way people were perceiving perhaps passages in the Bible, or perceiving that they can treat you in a certain way, that they're free to choose that. By all means, They are free to choose that path, but they are also responsible for the outcome.
Mm-hmm.
And if they are not prepared to take responsibility, then they are not prepared to make the choice. And they are just avoiding making that real choice.
Mm-hmm.
Or they don't want to, how would I say this? They don't want to look upon that with an open mind.
Yeah.
They prefer to kind of sit in their kind of box and go, oh no.
Yeah.
And I think that kind of happened to me for a bit, where I was focused on work. And then suddenly I was like, my eyes opened to the fact that I could do more, or
Mm-hmm.
I can choose to do more, and I can choose to find a balance, but I also have to be responsible for my choices.
Yeah.
And that comes all the way back to what we're talking about now, which is when you are engaged in this sort of, discussion and what's happened to you. And I'm sure there'll be many more stories tonight. We're all responsible for the choices that we're making, but so are the other people who are making those choices and impacting us.
Yeah.
And also, the culture or the context of which you came probably will also affect those choices as well, and it's knowing that it's not your fault for what's happened, but you've got a certain amount of power moving forward to control the narrative where you go next, and I've definitely, I think it's really interesting what you're saying, because I definitely have kind of also been in a place where I'm like, this is where my life is going, and you're like, actually, wait a second, be mindful and be careful that you're not writing your own story before it happens, and yeah, I think that's a really good point.
It's kind of like, in a way, rushing to the end.
Mm-hmm.
So that joke I made at the beginning about, where do you want me to start? Because
Yeah.
there was a point where I thought my end was with a certain person, or I envisioned my life with a partner that I once had, or, even as a how would I say this, as a younger teen, not like an older teen, not like 19, but a younger teen, yeah, like not like 13, not like
not a
fresh,
preteen.
not a preteen. You would kind of fall infatuatedly in love with somebody, or what you thought was, and you would envision your future with this person.
Yeah.
And sometimes, obviously, you're naive and you don't realize the realities of adulthood and life and the way the world works in a certain way. But you just envision this future with this person.
Yeah.
You've literally known each other for like 6 months. Maybe she's the new girl, or you're the new kid at school, whatever it may be. And, it's exciting and it's interesting. And then you start to think about the future, but really far into the future. And it was once upon a time where I actually was envisioning myself as an older person with this individual. And it was only that vision into the future that actually helped me to come to grips with the fact that it wasn't what I wanted today, because I couldn't see that future. So I had both sides of it. I was like, oh my God, I can see myself in the future like this, but also I don't like that future.
Yeah, that's so true. No, I definitely felt that. Like, I mean, I've had so many like long-term relationships that haven't worked out. And I think it gets to the point where you start having issues. And then when you get to that, can I actually, like, in the direction that they're going, like, do I want that life? Do I want to be that person's wife in that situation? It doesn't even have to be marriage in that way, but that person's partner, like, they know where they're going. They know where they want to go. And I'm just like, ugh. Like, it's like, like thinking about it now, thinking like I got the ick. Like, do you know what I mean? Oh my I got the ick when I thought about it. And I'm just like, oh, like I actually don't want to be the person's partner in that sense. Like,
Yeah, I could not relate more. My first boyfriend that I dated, I was I had a few other people that I dated before that, but first proper boyfriend. And I was maybe 16 or 17, and he said, as soon as you turn 18, we're going to get married. And I was like, fuck no, that's not happening. That's when I knew I got the ick. And when you get the ick, it's only downhill from there.
Yeah, you can't shake the ick.
You've got to listen to yourself.
Literally. And then, he turned out to be an absolute bastard anyway.
Dodged a bullet. Yeah.
Absolutely.
But
he found himself like a young girl, and then he's married to her now. I think he actually wanted, basically, like, I lost my virginity to this guy, and I think he wanted that. Like, he wanted a girl that lost her virginity to him and belonged to him, but he wanted to sleep with other girls, and he wanted me to be at home and be basically his wife,
That's fun.
but he gets to do whatever he wants.
Double standards.
Yeah.
I can't explain how much rage I feel inside me right
Yeah.
now.
Me too.
No, like just listening, like my
Yeah.
blood is actually boiling. Yeah.
No, but I'm so glad. No, but you kind of have to go through those experiences to then be like, okay, I found a gem. And yeah, because
Aw.
I think, you know, kind of
Much nice, Joe.
so like Selby's, well, I don't know, we kind of like spoke about the nice guy. You're not the nice guy, but you are just
Definitely
so fucking nice.
Probably the middle, I'd say.
You're the
Yeah.
middleman.
You know, I'm the middleman.
Yeah.
Yeah. Balanced.
No,
Selby,
you're
so nice.
assertive.
What the fuck?
You're
so
assertive,
nice.
but you're also like the nicest person I know.
Maybe logical. I would say logical.
Oh my
It's probably a
god,
better
yeah,
word.
heavily
Balance.
logical.
Yeah, the
If
most
any-
logical
yeah,
person
the most
ever. You're like a
logical person.
freaking robot sometimes.
Beep boop.
But basically,
No.
like you never get to what's it called? Appreciate the good relationships if you don't go through the shit ones.
100%.
No, that's so true.
It's learning, isn't it? It's research in a way
Absolutely.
to learn more about you. And I think that's something that switched in my head. Like I think growing up in that culture, it was all like, how can I make this other person? I think we probably all felt it. Like, how can I make this other person like me? What can I do to please this other
Yeah.
person? Like that dude who obviously he's got a lot of self work to do on like his relationship with women and
Yeah.
like purity and shit like that. Like you've got to stop trying to please other people and actually listen to what you want and be mindful of like, oh, but how does this affect me? And like, yeah, listen
Exactly.
to the ick if it comes up. 100%.